So originally I wasn't even going to make a video, but after watching some other content creators talk about their journey through games like WoW Classic, Destiny 2, and other MMOs, I thought, fuck it, why not do this myself? But first, a bit of backstory to this video. After spending what feels like an ungodly amount of time grinding Ranked Crucible to get the Recluse, then rage quitting the game because the Chaperone quest makes me want to eat rat poison, I decided it was time to play Blade and Soul. Little did I know, my questing experience would be completely halted when I found out a world boss drops a cosmetic item that fucking smacks. I eagerly farm it for about an hour with exactly 0 drops of the cosmetic. Frustrated again, I decided to turn to Old School RuneScape, where my adventure begins. Or really continues. I've been playing this super casually and without guides. My goal is simple: reach raid level. An almost unbelievably impossible feat for a casual like me, but it's always good to set my sights impossibly high. My mom said I could be anything I wanted, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't tell her I wanted to be a Pegasus. So, in order to meet this final goal, I need some milestones to keep myself in the right direction. So, for this video, my milestone is to get to combat level 30 and cross into the wilderness for the first time. So starting out, I want to increase my magic level more, since I've been neglecting it the most out of all of my other combat skills. Like I said earlier, I'm getting nitty gritty with this shit. I'm not using any guides, and I don't know how to runecraft. So in order to get runes, I have to buy them each time I run out. And to add icing to this shit cake, I don't have any proper mage armor, so scaling is going to be an even bigger shitstorm. I can already feel the tears rolling down my face. I spend like 2,000 gold on runes, then I start my leveling adventure. I first decide to finish my Demon Slayer quest, thinking I'd be able to get some XP from that. A mistake that I will regret later. In order to take on those level 20 mages in the circle, I thought, I need to level my magic stat a bit to reduce their hit chance. In order to level my magic skill, I need a target for my spells first. I first decide to use the lower level Dark Magicians as target. At level 25, I thought the higher level Dark Mages wouldn't aggro me since I had a level advantage of 5. So, I go into the circle, but I quickly draw aggro from the level 20 Wizard. After nearly dying and doing almost no damage, I retreat to find different enemies that will be a more even fight. I head to the Barbarian village to have a fair fight with the endlessly spawning mobs, but I stop like 90% of the way through to kill a bunch of defenseless level 5 goblins. Once I get tired of slaying the goblins, I walk into Barbarian Village and start pelting the first enemy I could see with magic. It was at this point that I realized that the fair fight I wanted wasn't so fair for the Barbarian, but I was already committed, and she was getting the full force of my frustration toward those magicians. After I finished with the Barbarians, I had a thirst for blood, beef, and XP, and I knew the perfect place for all three. I started my relatively lengthy walk from Barbarian Village to the cattle farm, instead of doing the smart thing and teleporting somewhere close then walking. But the past is in the past. I do a little bit of population culling, level up my magic one more time to 19, then dip. But I have other stats that I wanted to level, so I target some even weaker goblins until I was interrupted by this fuck. Then I walk back to Varrock, incredibly slowly I might add, while also having to deal with a god-awful 20-year-old pathing. As a side note, moving in this game is so bad. It's always a crapshoot whenever you click somewhere else while moving if you'll immediately turn or just keep walking for like 2 seconds like a dumbass, then very slowly turn around and move to your cursor. Once I get to Varrock, I bank most of my shit, then head to the entrance of town to complete the quest. I very arrogantly enter the circle thinking I was invincible, but the NPCs taught me otherwise. I instantly aggro onto a level 20 Dark Mage and lose without dealing almost any damage and die. A process that should have been familiar to me earlier. I res, thinking it's no big deal. I could just tank a couple hits and get all of my items back. And boy, was I wrong. See, in RuneScape, there are instance areas, meaning the place you're in is unique to you or your party, and when you or your party leaves the instance, it's deleted. What I didn't realize was that the arena I was in was an instance, and dying deleted said instance. I wish I was using my microphone while recording this, because my reaction to losing my items could not be remade. Old School RuneScape is an old and boring game, where the core gameplay is you clicking on an enemy and watching both you and said enemy stand there and hit each other, hoping your attack does damage. It's fucking stupid, and that, combined with losing my items, that were worth nothing by the way, made me rage quit as soon as I got to the bank. And then a few hours later I got back on, a trend that you will see a lot more coming soon. Using some of the gold I had saved up, I went to the shops to buy some new gear, plus replacements in case I have an incident like last time. Then, I spent an ungodly amount of time again figuring out what to do, until I come to a brilliant conclusion. I need better gear, and since I don't want to spend that much gold, I can make new gear instead of buying it from shopkeepers. The problem? I needed to be smithing level 15 before I could craft iron bars, and I'd probably need to be higher if I wanted to make some gear appropriate to my combat level, so I'd need to do some grinding. I teleport back to Lumbridge, then go to level up my combat skills, completely forgetting my goal to level smithing. To level up skills the only way I know how. Killing enemies that don't stand a chance against me. I increased my ranging to 21, my defense to 20, my prayer to 15, and my attack to 20. Then, I fucked around for a while just to eventually come back to Lumbridge to the mage tutor to get some free runes. Then, I walked south from there to Lumbridge Swamp, not seeing the pathway that clearly leads straight to the mining site. I walk the long way around and kill more mobs that don't have a chance, until I finally get to the mining site. I mine the ore that I want, then get scammed by someone buying my work off me. I didn't care, because Grand Exchange was basically halfway across the map for me, and I was still at the mining site, so an easy 200 gold for me, I guess. I smelt the bars, and take them back to Varrock, where I smith them into useless gear for what feels like very minuscule XP gain. It was at this point that I was desperate for smithing XP, without having time, It was at this point that I was desperate, I can't say these lines. It was at this point that I was desperate for smithing XP without having to mine, because it's such a tedious process. Thankfully, a friend mentioned that there's a quest that gives me a lot of smithing XP, but I didn't remember the name of it. Looking at my quest log, I guessed it was Doric's quest. So I spent time searching the map for it, went to the location, and did the quest. When I turned it in, I was pleasantly disappointed to find out that I only got mining XP. Feeling very emotionally damaged, I begrudgingly decide to mine and smith for more XP, but not without killing some dwarfs first. This episode will end when I get some iron gear and cross that wilderness border, but damn it if it isn't such a mind-numbing experience to get there. After spending a grueling amount of time walking from place to place trying to level my smithing, I finally got to the point where I had enough. Hours of my life were wasted trying to make better armor, and I still haven't gotten it yet. I went to the nearest chainmail shop and bought an iron chain body, and it was at that moment that I realized the gear that I was oh so miserably trying to procure was actually not beneficial for my combat archetype. In games, I usually enjoy being the ranging class. The iron chainmail that I got actually gave me negative ranging stats, and it was better defensively, I suppose, but not offensively. I was pissed that not only did I waste hours trying to get this gear, but I also don't know what type of armor is best for ranging. But at least I had my gear, and with it, I begrudgingly made my way to Varrock to cross into the wilderness. Old School RuneScape is a very old game that's gameplay is aged like cheese left out on concrete during the summer. At its best, it's a game that has a huge world populated with numerous players that seals the immersion factor. At worst, it's an RNG simulator that makes you want to throw your keyboard across the room in frustration. The fighting so far seems to not rely on skill at all, but instead is just a stat check designed to frustrate you. The world is full of things to do in order to train your skills up to 99, and some of them are straightforward. Others don't seem to make any sense at all, and is a completely frustrating experience. Sometimes, while playing, I wonder why I decide to spend time playing this 20-year-old game. But then, when one of my skills levels up, and I see those fireworks, I'm reminded why I keep slogging through this awful experience. Gamers love chasing numbers, baby. Give me the 99 everything. I fucking love this game.